All right, well, Jamie continues his sojourn on the field. I'm going to talk a little bit about the outfield lines. What I'm doing is I'm carrying down the string to left field foul pole, because to draw a straight line, we need a guide. So that's what this rope is going to serve as. So at the base of every foul pole, you'll notice there is a nail. Do you see the nail kind of sticking up right there? Yes, you do. All you do is you take this, put that around the nail. And the nail is pretty stout, so this can be pretty taut. As you notice, I'm just unrolling the line. I'm not going to go the whole way because he's not done with the whole field yet. So I'm just doing this in anticipation of him being done with the field. That's if you have two people out here, you can get it done, I don't know, about 40% quicker. So I'm just going to do this on the third base side and set it here out of his way. You notice the line right there coming right down, and that will go to the corner of the plate. Let's talk a little bit about that. The plate obviously is shaped like a, what would that be? I went to Chambly, I don't know the name of the shape. It's shaped like a plate. So let's look right here. Notice these angles where my toe is coming this way. There's also an angle once the plate is clean. There's also an angle coming towards the third base line. So what you do is right here at the base of the plate, at the pointer, that's where that rope is all the way down there. We're going to stretch it right on this line, right to here, where there will be a nail later. Same thing going down the right field side. I'm going to go install the right field line right now. So we're coming back to the equipment shed, and this is where all those materials are stored. Usually over here in the corners where all that stuff I showed you before was in there. I wanted to show you first base. First base is actually two bases sort of molded together. So my next step is to get third and first base, because the lines and the straightness of them kind of play off of where the bases are. One thing you'll notice that Jamie pulled up the tines that were nail dragging the field before he went onto the grass, of course. And right here, there's kind of a mound of dirt. This is where the dirt kind of comes off the back of that, and we use this to move it towards first base with shovels and buckets and that sort of thing. Right now he's kind of working, sort of hand working the plate area, cleaning the plate, etc. One thing about the plate is if it is dry, what you can use is the spray paint that we use in the outfield for the grass. You can come back and spray paint the plate so it looks bright and shiny white. Same thing with the bases. When the bases look really crappy, you can come back and spray paint them white. And I think there's even a can of orange for the first base safety base. So we're walking over to first base right now. You'll notice I have it laid out here, and there's a couple plugs. Of course, the plugs down here kind of get sunk or whatever. You can use this tool, which is actually better for digging the dirt out of what the plugs are in. You notice that, so you just go down there and get some of this dirt out so that these posts right here can fit down in that hole. Same thing on this. Boom, boom. So these plugs go in the home dugout up on the shelf in there, and then they're replaced at the end of the game. Right now I'm just going to throw them over to the side. So with these bases, the orange one always goes to the outside, not the inside. Kind of get them lined up. This is sometimes a pain, especially one-handed, but that went good. So that rope that I've already pulled, it's not taut. What I'm going to do is pull that rope on down this line and straight through the base, because the foul line actually goes straight through first base right here, straight through there. And then that line will go on down this first base and right to the edge of the plate that we already talked about. I'll show you that in a minute. So now here we are. I've got the rope and hammer that I was just using. I'm just backing up. I'm going like this. Pretty self-explanatory, and I'm walking towards home plate. I already put the nail in at the very back of the plate. as you'll see here. So there's the nail. You'll notice there's some pre-tied little knots for stretching this and putting it around the nail. So that's what I'm going to do now. Go with this one, make sure it's pretty tight. I'm looking down there, kind of snapping it tight. Okay, and this is pretty dang tight. Just gonna bring this over.
Hey John, you rake that back on? Like this one?
Yeah. Well, Jamie's gonna rake around the baseline too. So anyway, we're gonna do that before we put chalk down. But it's gonna get messed up again as we move the chalker down. But you see the line going all the way down, comes right here, right to the edge of the plate, right off that angle that you see down there. And the same thing will happen down the third base line. We'll go down here, grab this line, and bring it to the plate. It also should have some ties on it, little loops that will go around the nail that we have at home plate. We have not put in third base yet. I'm about to do that because this line needs to go to the outside of third base, not the inside. So you notice there's some loops right here. Just set it down for now. And we're gonna get this. I'm gonna snap it pretty tight again. Get this loop, put it right there on the nail. So we're good to go. So you see sort of a quasi straight line down there. What we'll do is kind of pick it up in the middle and snap it down a little bit. But first we got to put in third base. As you'll notice, I put in third base. Notice how the line kind of goes right by the edge of the base and goes on out into left field. It's pretty straight out there. Probably straighten it up a little bit more and then straight to home. What we're aiming for is that line that comes down here to be about this wide, and the outside of the chalk to hit this line, not going straight down it, but just to the side of it, because the foul line actually should be at the edge of the base. But sometimes it's a little bit off and it's no big deal, right, Jamie?
I can take my shirt off if you want to. Good?
That's for the next YouTube video.
Cool.
An alternate way of doing this and trying to get it to line up to the edge of the line is actually running the line over the base. So we're going to do that this time. Either way, you just got to get a straight line. Because if we run the line over the base and we center up what we're doing with the chalker, then there won't be any chalk on the outside of the line. All right, this is looking at the chalker. You notice there's a white line on top. Essentially, you're just trying to run that line, close one eye or whatever and get that line lined up and just stay straight on it. Of course, there'll be a little bit of variability, but, and again, where isn't there variability in life, Jamie?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
I'm a variable.
He's a variable. So, like, all right, here we go. Pablo Escobar here is putting in the chalk and making it
Quality stuff, Juan.
what we do is we open this up pretty much all the way to 4 inches there for a nice wide line. There it's kind of wimpy. That's because I have this on too. So just push it all the way forward. So now you'll see we've come to the edge of the grass and the line is pretty decent. It's not perfect, but it's pretty decent, pretty good. Didn't have too much of the shakes. You'll also notice that Rob McCall is not out here. He was banned from doing field prep after so many years of doing it at Druid Hills at the church, and his lines were always, let's just say, a little wavy. Here on the corner, you'll notice there's some lines here. That's from that template that Jamie has put down. These lines in the dirt there. That's the batter's box. And you line up the handle with the edge of the plate, which is what he did, and then put these here. This chalk line actually should start at the edge, the corner right here, and so far so good. So we'll come back and do this in a minute after we do first base. Thing we do not use a template for are the coaching boxes. Essentially, there's a line that sort of extends off the edge of the bag, but there's not a lot of real estate over here. And Jamie, you generally do an L, right?
I do. Just like that. Maybe a little bit close.
It's no big deal. We've never had any complaints about that. First base has some complications to it that we'll do in a minute. Here's Jamie putting down the line on first. He's really putting it down thick. And again, the goal is to take that line on down here and right through the middle of this bag. As you can see, Jamie's at the doing the batter's boxes, now the left-handed batter's box from using that metal template. This guy is exacting. So essentially, it's just drawing. Are those rectangles? Is that what they taught? Is that what they taught me at Chambly?
Correct.
Okay, I didn't know if it was a rectangle or a rhombus.
A rhombus is the big thing with the trunk.
There you go. There you go. So here you'll notice first base, perfect line coming on down here. Jamie did a great job. He stopped at the edge of the grass, which you're supposed to do. Now you notice that other line going all the way down there. The line looks a little crooked going there, so you can kind of pick it up, reposition it. That's kind of straight. So this thing right here is maybe a little more complicated. This does the spray paint, the soluble spray paint that you can also spray on top of the bases. It's special paint. What's it called? It's called Durastripe. All right. So you notice down here on this thing, you're going to put the paint can upside down into this, and you need to make sure that the paint that you use, you've really shaken the crap out of it. This trigger up here that I'm pulling on, that trigger controls this thing right there that pulls up. Let's get a better shot. That pulls up, and when you hit the trigger, that essentially starts the paint coming out, and you just walk at a normal pace. Another thing to notice is on the tops of the paint cans, you notice that the tip has that sort of rectangle on it. That rectangle, that shows you sort of the pattern. So you want the wide part going down the line, the wide part. So when this goes in here, you pop it in, you want that wide part. You can always turn it here, but that's what you want to do. Otherwise, you'll just have a real thin line. So I've gotten to the right field line, as you'll notice, and here's the painted line going all the way down. And it's fairly straight, but that lines up with the line going in the infield. And so we're done with the paint down the right field line. We'll do it down the left field line here soon. Here we are at the pitcher's circle. I've got this and then like a piece of metal that's in that container. I'm just gonna walk in a circle around the pitcher's mound, as you can see. Kind of keep my hands roughly the same place. So that is now done a circle, and Jamie's gonna go around that circle and chalk it. Jamie has finished the pitcher's circle, and I wanted to show you this. He got ahead of me a little bit on this, but here's the two boxes. You notice the perfect corners coming off. The plate, we'll probably clean that up a little bit. And then this is the catcher's box area. We haven't talked about that. It's essentially the same width or length of the batter's box, but drawn back here. Jamie, do you kind of freehand that back there, or do you mark it?
It's supposed to be 6 foot deep, I believe.
Okay, roughly 6 feet deep. But that's an area where the umpire and the catcher are. I don't know why we do that, but that's part of it. The next thing that's an emphasis this year is a running lane for the girls in the foul territory. So starting, I believe, 30 feet away from home plate, we're about to do a line that is 3 feet wide on down to first base. That lane is the lane in which players should run as they run to first, and that's for safety Also, if they get hit by the ball, by the catcher while they're in that lane, it's not their fault, etc., etc. So what we've done is we put in a nail at the corner of the bag, 3 feet from, and we estimated the 3 feet from the current line. As you'll notice, we dragged that line down with the, attached it to one nail and brought it down to another nail. So Jamie is now doing the perpendicular line. Perpendicular. I haven't used that word in a while. And now we're going to do the running lane. And this running lane, as we mentioned before, that's a new point of emphasis this year for player safety. Although we probably should have been doing it all along, but we're doing it this year. So sometimes you have strokes of genius. Some people more than others. And Jamie Haynes is one of those genius types. What did you just figure out, Jamie?
The lane is the width of the rake, exactly.
The lane is the width of the rake. So we don't have to use any cockamamie tape measures or anything like that. The rake is 3 feet wide, so just put it on the edge of the line that's already been drawn, the fair foul line, and then draw your other line. You notice at the end also where Jamie is standing is open. No need to close it there. You notice also how thorough he is. So here we are near third base. Everything is complete. Lines are drawn. Game is ready to go. Hopefully there won't be any rain, right? But looks pretty darn good. So the last thing to do, of course, is lock up the gate, which we'll do in a second. And put away the Sand Pro. Now, Jamie, you have a lot of fans.
3.
Do you have any words for your fans as we conclude this?
Go Vikings.
Go Vikings.
Roll
All right.
Tide.
Roll Tide. All right.